Every member of the elite team must be defeated. One of their agents is down.
Hello, salutations, what it do? It's the Dr. Gamer back at you with another Marvel's Avengers video, and today I'm bringing you my infinite heroic Maestro Hawk build. I showed this build off in the stream. You guys loved it. You wanted to see more of my builds, so if you want to see more of my builds other than Hawkeye, make sure you smash that like button and let me know in the comment section which hero you want to see the most. This build is a lot of fun though. I chose this one because it's my second most played build outside of Hawkeye. It's completely insane. You really feel powerful just like the Hawk, just rampaging, destroying everything. While you have this build, you are invincible. You cannot be defeated. You're in Boneshaker all the time. You're thunderclapping every minute. It's completely nuts. I absolutely love it. But before we get to this video, make sure you smash that like button. It helps the YouTube algorithm recognize that my content belongs on this platform and makes me feel better about myself. Also, make sure you subscribe and check the bell icon so you never miss a video. I'm on the road to 1,000 subs. I'm trying to hit that by my birthday on May 2nd. You guys have been helping a lot. As I'm recording this video, we're at 597, almost 600, which is insane. I can't believe how fast this channel has grown in only a few weeks, and it's all thanks to you guys showing love for Marvel's Avengers, and I really appreciate it. So without further ado, let's get into this video. So obviously, got to start with the Maestro Hawk skin. For the Maestro build, it's a legendary tier skin. If you don't have it right now, it's currently not in the marketplace, but it will rotate around, I'm sure, because it was a very popular skin. But if you don't have it, that sucks. But even if you don't have the Maestro skin, you can still have the Maestro build, which is ridiculous. I absolutely love it, and you will too, especially if you have been trying to feel powerful as the Hawk, and none of the builds you've tried have really captured the magic of rampaging as the Incredible Hawk and destroying everything. This will get you there. So I'll talk about the skills first briefly, and then we'll get into the real meat of this build, which is the gear loadout. So really quick, pretty much anything here you don't need to grab. You don't need your heavies, your smashes, your combos. You don't need any of that. All you need is your heroic buttons. For me, I'm on the PlayStation 5. So my R1, my L1, and my R1 and L1 combined. That's it. Occasionally I'll drop the rage meter, but you really only need to drop those heroics and you can make it through any content in this game. That's how nuts this build is. So the key here is on the heroic side of the skill tree. This is the most important thing you'll be doing. Boneshaker. This is the foundation of all of your combos, the infinite heroic loop. It all starts with Boneshaker. If you don't know, it does damage to nearby enemies in an AoE, and most importantly, it taunts them. Now, on a lot of builds, taunt doesn't really do anything except draw aggro away from your teammates, but this is not a support build. We don't care about drawing teammate aggro. We care because the way I have this build set up, the more enemies you taunt, the more damage you can do, and you will leverage that into more heroic orbs, which will allow you to keep your heroics always charged 100%. It's broken. First specialization, defeat 5 enemies while Boneshaker is active to extend its duration by 5 seconds. You'll be able to do this immediately, but not that important. Ultimately, this is what you want. Defeating enemies who are taunted by Boneshaker causes them to drop heroic orbs. That is a guarantee. If you taunt an enemy while Boneshaker is active, you will be doing damage. Boneshaker automatically taunts nearby enemies. So when you activate this, what you want to be doing is making sure you're in the heart of the enemy. You want to be surrounded by as many enemies as possible to make sure that they are all taunted, because when they're taunted, that means you can go ham on them, and when you kill them, they will drop guaranteed a heroic orb, which will allow you to keep your heroics charged forever. Very important. Don't just pop this off, on the other side of the room when there are no enemies, because it's not going to do anything. You really want to make sure you're maximizing this Boneshaker when you pop it off, but you're going to be using this first if you want to start the loop, and make sure that you are using this properly. Very important, because if you're not taunting enemies, you're not going to get all the benefits. Over on the assault side, we have the Stranglehold. 50% chance defeating an enemy will generate a heroic orb. Comes in handy sometimes to make sure that you're getting your heroic orbs to drop. This is what this build is all about. Defeating enemies, getting them to drop orbs. So that's the most important thing here. You don't need any of this other stuff. Now over on this side, as you see, I have 2 checked off, but funny enough, only these 2 actually work. This is a old exploit. I'm not sure if it still works. They haven't patched it yet, so I still get the benefits of it. But it doesn't matter if you have the double Stranglehold, you're going to have your heroics charged anyway. This is the most important thing. Stranglehold taunts nearby enemies and instantly overcharges the intrinsic rage meter. This will be important because when you are overcharged, you will do a lot more damage, and this build's purpose is to stack damage multipliers, so you are doing as much damage as possible to the point where you will be able to one-shot bosses like Abomination, Taskmaster, even Maestro. If you can't do the exploit anymore, which I think is something like selecting the skill and reloading checkpoint and doing it again, it's been a while, but doesn't matter. This is the most important one. Stranglehold, taunt, overcharge. That's it. That's all you need. Now, over here, the Thunderclap. This is the second most important. Thunderclap is what will allow you to collect all the orbs. Boneshaker sets the stage by taunting all the nearby enemies. Thunderclap destroys all of them in one shot, and you'll just be showered in heroic orbs. It's insane. Thunderclap is nuts, especially with a heroic rating this high. This is what you want. Epicenter. The distance of the Thunderclap shockwave increased by 30%. Ground zero, you don't really need. It creates a radiation zone that recovers willpower, draws in nearby enemies. But with this build, you want to make sure you are maximizing the damage of your Thunderclap. This is more for a battery effect Hawk build where you're spamming the enemy with gamma damage and then doing a positive charge. You'll need that with this build. All you need is Epicenter. The only time you're going to change this is when you're fighting a boss like Abomination. In that case, you're not going to need your Epicenter because the distance doesn't matter. At that point, you're only fighting one boss. And for that, you want to switch to Fault Line. Instead of extending the range, it focuses it and gives you a 25% damage increase, which is huge. This will allow you to go over 1 million damage in one shot. Bosses, very important, very nasty. Definitely switch to this before your boss fight. You will thank me. Briefly, we'll go over the mastery tree. Most of this does not matter at all. You can copy what I have if you want, or you can pick whatever you want. None of this actually matters except, of course, heroic takedown mastery, but this should be checked off on every single one of your characters. Performing a takedown forces an enemy to drop heroic orbs. Make sure you have that selected. It's the best by far. You don't need any of this other stuff. That's it. All of this stuff doesn't matter. Even the rage stuff isn't all that important. You can copy this. I prefer to recover willpower while rage is active and I'm dealing damage because it's pretty cool. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a big difference. This is what you want. Intrinsic overcharge tree increases critical attack chance by 15% while overcharged. Now, as I said before, the Stranglehold will instantly overcharge you. So while you're overcharged, you're going to get an extra 15% chance to crit, and you crit a lot with this build, and your effective your crit damage is very, very high. So you want to be increasing your chances with this. You also want to get that plus 20% damage while overcharged, because wow, that's a lot. You're just stacking your damage. So you're going to get a damage buff with my gear perks. You're going to get a rampage buff. You're going to get a buff for taunted enemies. You're going to get increased crit attack chance. And when you're overcharged, you're going to get another 20%. It's going to be absolutely insane. Last tree, put whatever you want. Doesn't matter. This is the most important. Make sure these two are checked off. So moving on to the gear, this is the bread and butter. So we'll start off here. I have the lightweight and vulnerability nanites. The most important thing here is Boneshaker's Boon, 12.5% increased critical attack chance when Boneshaker is active. Now, as you see, Valor and Resolve, those are the stats you want to look for. Valor being the most important. I wish this had higher Valor, but it gets the job done. I mainly got it for that third perk. I think I have another one here that, Boneshaker's Breaker, increased damage while Boneshaker is active by 17.5%. I prefer this one mainly because of the Valor, but if you can get something with Valor that also increases your damage while Boneshaker is active, that is also good. That is a guaranteed 17.5% that of the crit, but the crit gives you much higher damage potential than the flat 17.5% boost. As you see, Valor is 371. That is a lot. You want to prioritize that on all of your builds. Your heroic rating should be at minimum 3,600. The way I have it here is 4,000, but if you're at 36, 37, that's fine too. The main thing is you want a lot of Valor and you want the right perks. So in your melee slot, you want a damage boost for your Boneshaker. These two slots don't matter. You can have whatever you want. The most important thing is the Valor. Also, the proficiency helps. It increases my critical attack chance even further, but Valor is the most important thing there. Same here. None of these perks matter at all. All I got this piece for was Resolve and Valor. So if you have a better piece here that does more, use that instead. But as long as it has Valor, that's all that matters. You want a lot of Valor. You want a little bit of Resolve so you're not too weak if you're, just in case you get hit by a lucky shot before you can activate Boneshaker. Just have a little bit of Resolve. You know, my willpower is at 1400, which is fine because you're basically invincible anyway, but Valor is the most important thing. Now here's the other gear piece that matters. Planet Cracker Neuronics. There's a exotic version of this one. They're virtually identical except for the third perk, which is better on the legendary, which is why I'm using that instead of the exotic. That is the Rampage buff. Defeating enemies in rapid succession grants a damage buff. So all you need to do is defeat 3 enemies quickly, which is very easy with this, especially with all the AoE you're doing and destroying turrets and environment. That all counts too. So that's why I chose that. This is a very good damage buff to have. You want to have that because you're going to increase the damage output by a lot. And this will definitely come in handy when you're trying to one-shot bosses. The most important thing though is Aggressive Might. Increases the damage dealt to taunted enemies by 20%. So you're getting an additional 20% damage buff when enemies are taunted, plus a 12.5% increased crit chance when Boneshaker is active. You're getting that plus, I think, 15% when you're overcharged. Yep. And then 20%. So to maximize the damage, you're going to pop your Boneshaker, taunt enemies immediately. 12.5% increased crit chance, 20% increase base damage to anyone affected by it. Then you're going to pop your Stranglehold, instantly overcharges you. That's another 20% damage buff. Then you're going to Thunderclap, and if you have Fault Line, that's another 25%. Otherwise, it just extends the range, and you're going to deal a ton of damage. It's more than enough to one-shot all the enemies in the game, even the ones that are overshielded. Absolutely nuts. You're definitely going to want to do that combo when you're going to get some boss, and I'll show you what you want to switch to for your major artifacts. The minor ones perks don't matter. You just want to get an epic ISO with triple valor. That is the most important thing, and you can get these ISOs by farming. Snowy Tundra is what I usually do. I open DNA chests, and they have a pretty good chance to get my ISOs. You can also check the vendor and as well as farm the Day of Remains and open chests. And I believe drop zones also can drop these. But perks don't matter. All you need is that triple valor because you want as much valor as possible. Now for the most important artifact, Ring of Nebulong. That first perk, Bountiful, increases amount restored by all orbs by 12%. Doesn't sound like a lot. It is a lot. You collect your orbs. It only takes a few and you are completely restored. I think about 4 or 5 orbs, which is easy with this build. And you have everything back 100%. It's ridiculous. As long as you have enemies, you will always have your heroics. So you want to make sure you have the ring. The only time you want to change this is if you're in a one-on-one with a boss, because then you don't need to collect heroic orbs. You're just trying to destroy them in one shot. And for that, you want the Sacred Nornstone of Lethal Will. You want to trigger your Rampage buff by destroying some turrets, the environment. You can do that with Stranglehold usually. And then you want to pop off the Tears offense, so you get a double damage buff. So the sequence of events in that boss encounter is going to be, after you switch to Fault Line, you're going to go Boneshaker, you're going to go Stranglehold, you're going to pop your damage buff, and then you're going to Thunderclap them. And that should be enough to wipe them out in one shot. It's completely nuts. This build is insane. I used it to primarily farm the Mega Hive when I'm trying to get an exotic for a particular character, but I don't feel like grinding through the Mega Hive at a slower rate. I use this. It allows me to just zip through all of the hives without even thinking. It's very fast. And then we get to the last floor, you can just switch to whatever character you want and finish it off so you can get the exotics. But for clearing all the other stages, you definitely want Maestro Hawk or whatever Hawk skin you can have. The most important thing is infinite heroic spam. You will get through everything super fast. It's absolutely nuts, especially during tachyon runs. You're raining orbs. You're constantly dropping heroic. It's completely broken. This build is unstoppable. You can't be beat while you're in this state. And I highly recommend it, especially if you've been struggling with the Hawk. I know I've heard people say before that they don't feel powerful when you're the Hawk. That's because your build is not optimized. This is the way to do it. If you want to feel powerful, if you want to feel invincible, this is how you do it. Maestro, invincible, heroic, spam is broken. So that's the end of this video. I'm going to leave you with some more gameplay footage because it's incredibly satisfying to watch and even more satisfying to play. As you'll see, the sequence of events is usually the same. Boneshaker, Thunderclap, Boneshaker, Thunderclap, or Boneshaker, Stranglehold, Thunderclap. That's all you need. Kill everything. Can't be touched. The most powerful build in the game right now, in my opinion, especially for clearing hives. So once again, thank you for tuning into this video. Make sure you smash that like button if you haven't already and subscribe to the channel to help me get to 1,000 subs by my birthday. Also, if you want some merch, I have some hoodies. I have shirts with my official Stop the Gamer designs. I love how they came out. So the top link will be in the description if you want to support the channel. I really appreciate it. I'm Sadat the Gamer, signing off.
These enemies must be defeated.
I don't know. Are you sure?
An elite AIM team is close by and on alert. Updating your HUD. Every member of the elite team must be defeated. One of their agents is down. Excellent. Another agent down.